Hello there guys, what is going on? SonOfChelsea back here again for my rational perspective on Chelsea 1, Man United 1. Trying to make a long review out of this is going to be difficult because it wasn't a very good game. It was quite a poor game, and there is a lot of deja vu. There is obviously a lot of frustration. I think Jorginho's expression kind of sums it up best because he was so close to having the winner for Chelsea and ending that near 5-year curse of not beating Man United in the Premier League. That now goes on, at least till we next play them. It's frustrating, I think, the sense that it slightly reminds me, and I'm sure the reaction to the game will be like this from Chelsea supporters, and this has been going on all year, and this is not a Graham Potter thing, kind of symbolised by the fact that this has happened twice against two top six rivals at Stamford Bridge, where we failed to cling on to a lead, conceding headers in our 6-yard box in added time. I mean, it's happened twice now, Spurs and United, and it's gutting. Obviously, you feel like you've lost, but at the same time, I don't think we did enough to win in open play, and that's just the honest truth. I don't think the game deserved the winner, really. So objectively, a neutral, I think, would have hated this game. If they were still awake by the time the drama actually unfolded in the last 10 minutes or whatever it was, maybe they would have got some joy out of it. But I thought it was a low-quality game. I think it very much shows two teams still in the early stages of what they're doing under new coaches. Some old flaws, I think, probably for both sets of fans to look at in their squads, particularly from a Chelsea perspective when I look in central midfield. And I'm sure people will pick out other areas and kind of feel, why haven't these been rectified for so long? And from a Chelsea perspective, not beating United, there is a sense, and some of those frustrations just consistently rearing their head again have felt like consistent trends across the last half a decade for Chelsea, really. I think, the fact that it was 2017 when we beat them feels quite symbolic because, of course, that was the last year Chelsea won a Premier League title, and seeing where Chelsea have been since then. So a lot of those things I'm sure will be discussed and dissected. Let's look at the team. 5 changes by Graham Potter. It was 4. 4 changes by Graham Potter. No Koulibaly in the squad. Another injury to a centre-back. We'll see how serious that is. It was revealed before kickoff that he felt something, I think he said knee or thigh, a leg problem before the game, and he obviously couldn't be risked for this one. Curious to see, because Graham Potter was forced tactically in this game to move to a 4 at the back. I wonder, just based on personnel, with no Wesley Fofana, with no Reece James, and potentially no Koulibaly, at least for a couple games, we'll see how that plays out. He may just be forced to play a back 4 for now. We'll see how that works, and obviously the knock-on effect to the rest of the team through that potential change. But yeah, it was the 3-4-3. My big question about this game is 2 things. It was on the right side of Chelsea's defence, left side of United's attack, and central midfield. Those are the 2 key areas. I think midfield was more the area that dominated the first half tactically. United were better than Chelsea. There was only really one team in it. United just being outnumbered Chelsea in midfield, and particularly when you've got Jorginho. Listen, we're going over very old ground here regarding his lack of mobility, but as well when he's being asked to press up that high, he doesn't have the speed to recover. It felt at times like Loftus-Cheek was just out there on his own. I think the Marcus Rashford chance is a perfect example of it, because Loftus-Cheek is dispossessed after, I think, a 50-50, and he runs into about 3 United bodies who have swarmed onto him and win the ball back, and eventually Rashford has a shot at Kepa, which is well saved. Chelsea could have conceded at several points during that first half. Potter had to act. I like the fact that he did not wait until half time. He tried to get another body into central midfield, but he took Marc Cucurella off. We went to arguably a 4-3-3. At times it looked like a 4-3-3. Definitely 3 central midfielders in there. I think the configuration of it was just a little bit different personally. I don't think Mount was playing kind of right or left wing. He very much was dropping deeper to try and add some more weight and energy and legs to that midfield area that was such a problem for Chelsea, because United were just able to pin Chelsea back, and there was no real way for Chelsea to progress the ball. I don't think Kovacic was incredible when he came on, but he was one of Chelsea's better players tonight in what was a pretty dreadful game, to be honest, but he added more aggression. There was a sense that Chelsea could connect from defence to midfield to attack rather than just punting the ball forward, it likely being lost and us being outnumbered up there, and the ball just coming back and having a repeat of that same cycle over and over again. It speaks to, I think, the pressing patterns and sort of the work that Ten Hag has done. You wouldn't have seen United do that last year. They did not do that at the Bridge last year. They were very, very defensive, which is what I suspected. Didn't really get the chance to play on the counter that much, and when they did, they were very poor, I think, in execution as the game went on, really. So Chelsea nullified, I think, that aspect better as the game went on. But in that first half, there was just no way for us to control possession at home, which was really frustrating. So you have about 35 or basically 45 minutes out of the game done because Chelsea have just tried to do a recovery act effectively. I think some of our decision making and just lack of confidence inside the box when we did get into those areas. Raheem Sterling, I don't think had a good game again. There'll be question marks over why Christian Pulisic didn't start this. Mason Mount played some nice passes, but I think there was good defending from Man United. I think listen, we're always focused on our players and the pros and cons of our players. There is another team and quite a decent team playing against us tonight. And I think Rafael Varane had a very good game until he got injured. Lisandro Martinez, I think, looks like a very good centre-back. That whole back four for United. And listen, Chelsea, I think, were the same. I think Trevor Chalobah, I've got to give out a shout out for him. I think he was brilliant tonight. He really was. I know people will be questioning where he was for the goal in the end for Casemiro, and there have been criticisms of his sort of aerial game, but I do think Trevor Chalobah's record of being unbeaten when starting a game for Chelsea is not a coincidence. That's a massive sample size now, and he is. I think there were times where he just got a little toe, just a little head glance to stop a dangerous United cross going into a United body. He looked so much mature, and I think he was unlucky from a corner, headed off the bar. So I feel he was one of Chelsea's better performers tonight. I think he absolutely deserves credit. As was Kepa, because Kepa had to be in good form in the first half to stop United as well. And that's a worrying trend, how much we're giving away at times, and how, if you sort of look at the last three first halves of games against Aston Villa, Brentford and Man United, you could argue we've been thoroughly outplayed, or at least for sections of them, and that is something Potter needs to rectify, really. So we go in at 0-0. The second half was really drab. I mean, it was. Chelsea sure gained a little bit more control and a little sense that maybe we were building something, but again, just both teams, I think it's fair to say both teams just lack so much quality for the majority of the game inside the box, just decision making of a cross, of a pass, of just a lack of bravery or confidence to make a run at times. Because I think both teams, and we've seen this so many times between Chelsea and United, once you get into that, it was almost like the dreaded last 20 minutes, managers start making subs that look quite reactionary, or at least managers start making subs that look sort of a little bit defensive. I think that was absolutely the case for Erik ten Hag, who brings on Fred, he brings on McTominay, he brings on Alanga, he takes off Marcus Rashford, he takes off players who of course could have been a little bit more dangerous for them in attack. From a Chelsea perspective, seeing Carney Chukwuemeka and Armando Broja again was positive. Christian Pulisic obviously coming off the bench too. You could argue those are negative or positive subs. I think the sub that was made in the first half absolutely needed to be made for Chelsea to get a foothold in the game. And of course, Broja was involved in a penalty. Let's get to the penalty. I mean, listen, it is a penalty, and McTominay is stupid for it. I think, he deserves that for years of doing stuff like that and probably getting away with it. And you think this is the moment for Chelsea, and Jorginho steps up, does what he does best, sends the head the wrong way. And it's just that game management again in the last 5 or so minutes, even less than that, given we were, I think, already 2 or 3 minutes into added time. And Casemiro gets a free header, but I think he gets a really good head on it, because I know people would be blaming Kepa, but I think the margins for error and the amount he's done in the past week to kind of gain some trust back, I think he deserves some respect again. And also just, you keep on asking your keeper to bail you out. You're asking for trouble, effectively. Like, your keeper, especially at a club like Chelsea, I know in these bigger games it is, of course, a much more closer run affair, and you expect your keeper at times, against the quality of player United have, to maybe bail you out. But this has been consistent now, and it's heartbreaking. It is, because it would have been such a big morale boost again for Chelsea when I think they really need it. And it's not the best position to be in, because 2 draws in a row. It is now 7 or 8 unbeaten under Graham Potter, so at least that's intact. And you come away from the game looking at it and going, all right, it could have been much worse in the first half based on the way it started, but there wasn't enough in attack to show progression that we saw in the first few games of Graham Potter's time here. That needs to be improved on. Midfield again, and it's just personnel. And listen, I did see a lot of stuff before the game when that team lineup dropped of people really talking down this squad and saying, it's all dreadful and we need to spend another 500 million on it. I reject that. I still think that's a lot of rubbish, actually. I think Chelsea have, personnel-wise, have been a little bit unlucky with injuries to the likes of Reece James and Wesley Fofana, who, if played today, I think it would have offered us very different profiles in the game for Chelsea to really press forward. Those are unfortunate. I think N'Golo Kante is the one injury that I have little sympathy for from the club's perspective, because you can't rely on N'Golo Kante to stay fit for a majority of the season, and not recruiting a new central midfielder is just, it's so blindingly obvious now, and we've been saying it for so long, so that's not a new talking point. But these are not Man United specific problems today, they are larger problems, which I speak a lot about in this channel because I do think they are relevant. But in terms of the result performance, I think it's a fair result. I think the performance needs to be better. I think we need to be more proactive. I think some players rightly should be starting on Tuesday. I think a Christian Pulisic, maybe an Armando Broja gets another start. Just a bit of freshness back in the team, because we have dropped a little bit our performances in the last 3 games, and hopefully we can rediscover that against Salzburg in a massive Champions League game, where if we win, we qualify for the last 16, which I think should be seen as a real positive considering the way the group started. Let me know your opinions as ever in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you again very soon. All the best.